For long runs that are not in the mountains, I can push it to like All right, everybody, how we doing today? Good morning. Oh man, recovery mode. That's right, getting out all the recovery tools, including the massage gun. And crazy, everybody. Didn't expect this. Usually, soreness takes about 36 hours to set into my legs after a really hard race. And after yesterday's FKT on the Boulder Skyline Traverse, the soreness set in 24 hours later. It's about noon on Monday, and my legs, I basically woke up sore, and it's wild. So yesterday's course, I keep stressing this, is that it is a tough course, meaning it's rockier and steeper than the Pikes Peak Marathon. And I was not crazy sore after Pikes Peak, probably because my downhill, I suffered a little bit from the stomach issues, and so I wasn't flying on the downhill sections on Pikes Peak. But I'm telling you, it's crazy. I'm pretty sore today. My hips are sore, my quads are sore, my hamstrings are fine, my calves are fine. But it's fascinating to experience, what happens when you go hard on a difficult course. All right, here we go. What actually happened up there on the 5 peaks above Boulder, Colorado? Topping out, I think you top out at about 8,500 feet on South Boulder Peak, right around 8,500 feet. There it is on your screen. And so it's South Boulder Peak, Bear Peak, Green Mountain, Flagstaff Mountain, and then Mount Sanitas. All right, those are the 5. Mount Sanitas is the last one, and it's again, coming off of Mount Sanitas. My apartment in college when I was at CU was 5 minutes away from Mount Sanitas, and as a cross-country and track runner, we never really trained up on those hills extensively because we were training to run really fast on a cross-country course or a track, and those hills are just so steep, it's hard to get that turnover going. So we would go up there a little bit in the summertime. Bottom line, it's amazing how rocky and, again, steep Mount Sanitas is in a foothill that's literally right next to the city limit of Boulder, Colorado. So here we go. Here's Relive on your screen, and here cruising up South Boulder. And what's amazing is that I ran to the top of South Boulder 3 days before I did it yesterday in 45 minutes. And then yesterday I was able to do it in 44 minutes. So again, just listening to the body and telling myself, it's not quite time to go. When I thought about doing the Boulder Skyline on Saturday, but it's interesting, I had done the sled in the gym on Thursday after my solo South Boulder run. And so Saturday morning, I was thinking about it. Here I am getting ready on Friday, but I woke up Saturday and just decided, nope, not today. Let's push it to tomorrow on Sunday. So here we are on Relive, cruising through the foothills, and this map I think is pretty cool. Kind of gives you a little bit of perspective on what the mountains actually look like in 3D, a little bit of 3D at least. And as I mentioned in yesterday's vlog where I talked about the shoe choice, I opted for the Hoka EVO Speed Goats over the Innovate X Talon G210s. Great move. Really happy I did that. Saved the legs and the feet, more importantly, from the sharp rocks on the course. Now, what's really good news is that I was able to cut my time from 2:55 down to 2:38. So 2:55 I did in late May 2020, so about 3.5 months ago. And so that feels good. And you might be asking, okay, Seth, how did you do it? All right, here we go. I kind of narrowed it down to 3 areas, nothing earth-shattering here. You know what I'm gonna say. High altitude training, long runs, and lots of long runs, and then the sled. Yeah, those are the 3 areas that I can hone in on as to what I did this past summer, training at altitude, getting 23-mile long runs in very, very consistently, 22 and 23-mile, and then, yeah, I don't know, like maybe it's just all in my brain. Maybe I'm just doing some self coaching and self-talk, but the sled in the gym, it just feels really, really good to push that thing. And the reason I like doing the sled over, let's say, squats or deadlifts, or even to a certain extent the box jumps, which I also like doing those, but the sled, it feels like a natural running motion, and you're just pushing and pushing and pushing. And I would not, just so you know, I would not be doing the sled as much, maybe a little bit, but not nearly as much if I was training for a road marathon, because it's just a different motion running up a steep mountain, which is what South Boulder is like. Here it is on your screen, just very steep, versus running fast on a road marathon. And yes, we're going to talk about water here in 1 minute. Speaking of self-talk and self-coach, when I'm doing an FKT, one of the things I'm telling myself out there on the trails is I'm racing history. I'm racing the past, everybody that's already done the Boulder Skyline Traverse, but it's crazy, you're racing the future. Everyone that's gonna come ahead of you right now, there's no guarantee that I'm going to the Azores, all right? 2:38, I feel good about that time, but there's 10 days to go, roughly 9 or 10 days to go, and there's just the other guys, they might beat it. There's I'd say a very good chance somebody else could run 2:38. And so when I'm out there on the trails, I'm telling myself, make every step count, because make this time as fast as possible, because you're racing the past, but you're actually racing, maybe even more importantly, the future, because now everybody else who's going to follow in the footsteps is going to have a time to shoot for, okay? So that's a little bit of the self-coaching and self-talk that I do out there during these FKTs. And one more point on the Skyline Traverse. Remember the question of the day 4 days ago, and I'm trying to do better at talking about the questions of the day, are that I asked, how do you know when you're ready to race? A lot of good answers, upper right-hand corner. If you haven't seen that vlog, a lot of good answers down in the comments. And for me, I think the number one telling sign is the ease, E-A-S-E, ease of long runs. When long runs get easy and almost to the point, not even almost, when they get too easy, where you're like, you finish and you're like, wait a minute, I could have gone further, maybe a little faster. That's when I really know that I'm ready to rock and roll. And so last week when I did the 23 miles, right about here it is on your screen, I think it was like between 6:10 and 6:15 a mile on the Highline Canal here in Denver. And I finished and I said, wait a minute, I should feel more tired. And so boom, light bulb moment. And so then, and some people picked up on it on Strava, you know who you are, they noticed and they were, messaging me and texting me and said, Seth, I sense a mini taper happening for your attempt on the Skyline. And yes, you were correct. It was just, I knew it was time. And you a mini taper, not a big taper, but a mini taper into the weekend, and voila. All right, that's enough on the Skyline. Let's talk about water. So Mike, thank you, Mike, for the email. Mike emailed me 2 days ago and said, did I carry, speaking of the long runs, do I carry water on my 23-mile long runs? And Mike, I do not. And for everybody out there listening, I do not. Now, I'm not saying I recommend that, okay? But I personally do not, and I'll explain why. But I'll never forget the quote from Mark Webmore, my coach at CU. Mark often said, when we were training, especially in the summertime, so it was amazing, but we would do middle distance runs and long runs, and he would drive the van to different points, and he would open up the back, and he'd have a tub filled with like a Gatorade tub, and then he'd fill up the cups, put the cups out on the bumper of the van, and then we'd run by quick, stop, maybe for 15 seconds, 20 seconds, take a couple swigs, and then continue on running. And he always said when we were doing that, it's always better to put water in you than on you, because it was always tempting just to like dump the water onto your body to cool yourself off. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but scientifically, and for the science, the physiologists out there and doctors out there, you know way better than I do, but it's better to get that hydration inside of you rather than, let's say, just dumping it on you if you have a circumstance where you only have a half a water bottle left, whatever the case may be. And so to actually talk about the title of the vlog, why do I not carry water on my long runs, is the number one reason is time, okay? I don't have, very rarely, sometimes, but very rarely do I have enough time to go plant water out on the course where I'm running. It's just like, we're all busy. Like, it's like, professional runners that have a coach and a support system, or, all the elite runners, the elite marathon runners, they have a coach that usually is driving alongside them, and they can just hand them, so they don't even have to stop running. They'll just hand them a bottle as they're going. I don't have that, situation, and that's fine. So over time, so that's point number one is time. Point number two, adaptation. All right, so I'm thinking of the tribe in Mexico. I believe it's in Chihuahua, in the Chihuahua region of Mexico, in the Copper Canyons. These natives of that area have trained themselves to run for long distances in the hot heat of Mexico with little to no water. In fact, I believe I've read, and probably many of you can confirm this down in the comments, they'll drink water, put it into their mouth, and then they'll hold it in their mouth and slowly drink the water, and they'll run with water in their mouth for miles and miles and slowly drink the water over, many miles of running. And if somebody could confirm that, I believe I've read it in the, oh gosh, what is the book? I guess it would be the Born to Run book, right? In that book, Born to Run. It's the Copper Canyon, the Tarahumara tribe in Mexico. So for me, one reason I'm able to run long distances without water, I believe, is that I grew up at 8,000 feet. And so a lot of people need to drink more water when they go into altitude, in order to help deliver more oxygen to the body. But from the age of 5 to 18, I was growing up in Buena Vista, Colorado. And here's the elevation on your screen, okay? So I think, I don't know for sure, but I tell myself that is one of the reasons that I've adapted a little bit to not needing as much water on my long runs. Point number three, why I don't carry water, is that I don't like, especially if I do carry water, I'll try, it doesn't always happen, but I'll try to have 2 bottles rather than 1, because I don't like to have my body, my arm carriage, too much weight on one side of my body, because I think it throws off my gait cycle and throws off my arm swing, my arm carriage. And I actually think I did, 4 or 5 years of ultra marathon training, and I would often carry bottles when I was doing, 25-mile, 30-mile long runs. And I think, without even thinking about it, I was carrying the bottle in my right arm. And now, if you watch me run sometimes, my right arm will actually swing lower than my left arm. And I do not like that. So that's another reason I don't carry water on my long runs. Now, I could wear a vest, of course, but I'm telling you, the more free, it's amazing just to have that natural movement, not just of your legs, but also of your upper body, which is all working together. And the vest and the bottle, for me, I have found just throws it off just a smidge, enough to where I'm willing to push the limits a little bit of not carrying water with me. And last but not least, point number 4 as to why I do not carry water on my long runs is I think I know my limits pretty well, all right? And it's been sometimes a very hard learning lesson. The worst bonk of my life, I was in college, I think I did 21 miles. It was long for me at that time, in Buena Vista in the summertime, carried no water. It was a hot day out at 8,000 feet all the way up to 9,000 feet. I went, for those that know Buena Vista, I went all the way around Sleeping Indian, and I was on the verge of passing out the last 2 or 3 miles many times. So for me, I have just learned to know my limits. For example, in the summertime, I do my long runs in July and August. If I don't start by 6:30 at the latest here in Denver, it usually gets too hot and it'll turn into a little bit of of an epic battle at the end of the long run where I know it's going to hurt those last 2 or 3 miles because I need that water. Whereas now in September, I can almost push the time to like 7 o'clock, 7:30 because it's starting to cool off and the temperatures are not rising above 90 degrees. And I get a lot of questions about Denver and running in Denver. Denver has very, very little humidity. So for everybody in Texas and maybe Italy or Israel or maybe I'm thinking of like the Philippines, anywhere where there's high humidity levels, that's a game changer. Like I would absolutely need to carry more water running in humid conditions. It's amazing how humidity can change the impact that heat has on your body when you're out there doing the long runs. But I've learned over, 20 years of running in Colorado, my limits for, here it is. For long runs that are not in the mountains, I can push it to like 2 hours and 45 minutes or 3 hours. Basically 3 hours is about the limit before I know like I'm gonna need some water after 3 hours. So 3 hours there. And then in the mountains, depending on the temperatures, and the temperatures are different up there, and obviously high altitude, but in the mountains I can push it all the way. I'm just trying to remember. I can push it, let me just think. I think it's like 3.5 hours, depending on how fast I'm going. Because up in the mountains, it's cooler, okay, than down here in Denver. So I can push it a little further up in the mountains. But again, it's all about planning, knowing thyself, knowing the route that you're gonna run, etc., etc. All right, question of the day. I know I'm rambling on a little bit here. Question of the day. What is your strategy? And listen, please, please, please listen to your body, listen to your coach. If your coach has great experience with lots of running under their belt, like just don't do what I do. But the only reason I do what I do, one is because of time, two is because of, again, just understanding how my body reacts to different distances in different temperatures. So question of the day, what is your strategy for water intake and fuel intake for your long run? So what food do you need to eat? What gels do you need to eat? What water, what electrolytes, etc., etc. Do I wish it was different for me? Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have somebody, handing me bottles along the way, but it's, it's just not my reality, and that's fine, and I've learned to adapt to the circumstances. I love you. Thanks for being here. What a day, what a day. I know this is a little simpler, just kind of chilling here in the kitchen, but I hope you get a little insight into my training from today. All right, everybody, thanks for being here. We'll toss it to a long run discussion right here. Yeah, that'll be good. Long run discussion, how I run faster, all about long runs right there. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Seek beauty, work hard, and love each other. See you tomorrow.